everybody. Hollywood's always been a place of imagination, creativity, and talented people. Now, long before the streaming, the digital effects, and the green screens, the entire worlds were built by hand. Western towns, city streets, spaceships, palaces are all places that existed because of the skilled crews that brought them to life. Now, behind every movie set, there were craftsmen, the prop makers, the painters, the plasters, the welders, the sculptors, and the teamsters, all working long hours to be a small part of the magic that you saw on your screen. Goodbye Hollywood is a podcast about those people, and I'm your host, Leopold Monu, also known as Noose. And in each episode, we'll talk with the men and women who work behind the scenes building the sets that made Hollywood movies possible. Now, these are all stories from the crews that built the industry one set at a time. This is Goodbye Hollywood. All right, good morning. Here's our first episode of Goodbye Hollywood, podcast about the old workers and the construction workers. And I have our union representative here, Mr. Alex Aguilar. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you, man?
I'm good. So this podcast here is just to kind of go over some old friends. Me and you've known each other for what, 30 years now?
Yes, 30 years.
It's been about
Definitely
30 years.
a long time.
Part of Local 724. We're laborers for life, even though I'm a prop maker now, but I'll always be a labor at heart. So this is something that I'm just trying to get in the heads of a lot of our old friends and stuff to see how the business has changed in the past 20 years. You could go further back, but all the guys that we've been working with, seeing these changes and stuff like that. And you're on the forefront with the union. So what's going on that end of things as far as our deals and shows coming through town and stuff like that?
So right now, it's obviously we all know it hasn't been well. It hasn't been going well ever since COVID. Right? We had a moment there where things froze up. Then we came back strong. And there was some misperceptions there in the sense that when COVID came back, the streaming companies were going full force, right? That's when they were creating a lot of content, even bad content. And so that created a lot of work for all of us. But that model has now changed. And we got in the time where we were doing 24, 26 episodes, even though we always did TV shows, features, you and I. But in the TV world, there was those shows, those network shows that did 20 some episodes. So that kept people working for months at a time. Now with the streaming and these consolidations that are happening, right, between these big companies, there's less content being created and the content is different. The model has changed. Now it's streaming. It's not so much networks. Instead of 20 episodes, 22, 24, it's 8 episodes, right? So there's less content and less work because the longevity and the length of the work and the projects are smaller now. That, and you add in the strikes and then the contraction that's happened just because it's created where we're at today. And so what we ended up doing last year, we worked really hard on the tax credits, right? Governor Newsom, look, I think whether you like the governor or not, we can always complain about what politicians do and what they don't do right?
For sure.
So, but what he did do right was push for our tax credit to go from 320 million or 330 million to 750 million, which that allows us to compete more with the other states that are really just kicking our butt. Right. You have New York, New Jersey. Texas just increased theirs from 75 million to 150 million. Georgia's kind of dying out. Marvel left. But News, man, it's changed, bro. Since you and I were kids and we started in this business.
Yeah.
Now we have 65 countries or 65 different programs throughout the world that incentivizes production.
Wow.
So between all the unions, we pushed really hard to get this through. And we thought that it was going to kick off right in January. Like, yeah, it's going to go hard. It's been a slow start. It's been slow, and there's a couple of reasons for that. So when you apply, if you have a project and you apply through the California Tax Credit Program and you get awarded the tax credit, then you have 180 days to get that project going.
To start your project? Really?
Yeah. So it enables some of the independents to secure their financing, the talent, the crew.
Right.
So, because you're not going to hire these folks if you don't have the credit, right?
Yeah.
So once that credit is awarded, now you can start putting your crew together, your talent, and all that. And so, we thought, we were hoping that things would get started quicker, but there's a little bit of a lag. But there is some work starting to come up that is putting members to work. So it's good. So it's good. But that's kind of the state of the industry right now.
Yeah. It's been a slow game for a while.
It's been very slow, but I think we hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
That's what the union leadership, my counterparts from the other locals and the other unions I think we all agree that it can only get better from now. I don't think it can get any worse. And it is. We're seeing a trickle, an upside in the hours when it comes to the pension. So it's been bad. I mean, look, let me give you a stat real quick. In 2022, we had 112 million hours that went into the pension plan. 112 million. Last year, we had 78 million.
Whoa. Whoa.
40 plus million hours. Those are work hours. Those are
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
people actually working. And
Yeah.
that's
Their
all the
livelihood.
below
Yeah.
the line unions. Teamsters, laborers, prop makers,
Yeah.
any IOTS, local Teamsters, us, plasters, 42, around 40 million plus hours that did not go into the plan. That translates into about 15,000 jobs that have completely disappeared from this
Right.
industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's where we were at, and hopefully we're starting to see a small incremental increase in hours, even though because the hours had been going down steady, just steady. We hadn't
Yeah.
seen anything going up. Now, this past report, because I sit on the Motion Picture Pension and Trust Fund. I'm one of the directors. So this last report we got last month, at the end of the month, it showed an increase, small increase, but the fact that we're getting an increase is a good sign.
Right. Right. Like you're saying, it can't get no worse, right?
Yeah, man, it's sad that's where we're at. That even though it's funny
I
and
know. It was
but
thriving 20 years ago.
you and I, when we got in, I mean, you would think, just going back to what we did, you and I always did movies, and we were very fortunate to be able to work on these big features, right? Where we had 30, 40, 50 laborers sometimes.
Yeah. Crews are
I,
huge. The crews are
yeah,
very big. Yeah.
I mean, I never thought we would be in this place. And you know what? It's funny. So I always tell this story. When I was on Dante's Peak, I had a painter by the name of Al Kenders, and he was a great guy, man. The
An
sweetheart of a
English
man.
guy?
No, I don't remember if he was English. I think he was, but he was a catcher for the White Sox in the 40s.
Okay.
And so he told me, "Hey kid, save your money because this industry is not going to last. It's going to disappear." But that's not completely accurate, even though, and this is not a knock on Mr. Kenders because he was a great guy, but for years, not just him, but others said this industry is going to disappear. It's going to go
Yeah.
away,
Yeah.
and this and
Yeah.
that. The industry has disappeared from LA and
Yes.
the States, but the industry's not going away. They're still
Yeah.
creating content. Maybe there's been some contraction. We're always going to need, entertainment to watch, right? TV shows and all that stuff. So it's always going to be there. The model's changed, but now we have to work hard to get it
Yeah.
back here. And we're going to get there at some point.
Well, it's good to have guys like you on the front line who've been in long enough because, some of the guys that get in those seats, they don't have that experience of 20, 30 years in the business. Sometimes they just get shoved in that position just to have it, in a cush spot or whatever. I get what you're saying about, this is exactly why I called it Goodbye Hollywood. It's because it's not, the industry's not going to go anywhere, but it is morphing. It's changing. It's not what we used to work in 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And a lot of the guys that I've been talking to, like my dad and his friends, your dad, I got in at 17. So all my friends are my dad's friends. And those are the guys that are bowing out right now. So it's almost like goodbye to an old way of Hollywood, the way it was doing things. Now we got to deal with the changes, the digital, like you're saying, the content is just changing. And I felt that what you said, the 10 years or so last that they were just building shit just to build shit, accumulating content. And then all of a sudden they turn off the hose and there was nothing. and that nothingness just kind of trickled down. No, next year it'll be better. No, next year it'll be better. And for the
Uh,
past 3 years, we've been like, oh my gosh, crossing our fingers every January. But yeah, we're going to change with it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm glad we're talking about it, at least getting out here and seeing exactly what happened. You know what I mean? Like you're telling me that, we are, I've always compared ourselves to gypsies. You know what I mean? We'll take the cheapest opportunity, whether it's another state, whether it's a cheap warehouse in the valley somewhere, to bang out some sets. We've always been that way about jumping wherever we can and staying just long enough to make some money or make their movie and then bail. You know.
and that's the studio's model that they're going to go. During the tax credit, when we were pushing for the tax credit, we had a lot of conversations. I did with legislatures, right? Like legislators, the assembly member, senators, and all that. And some of them would say, we don't, we're just giving Hollywood, a bailout. We're just helping Hollywood. And I'm like, you're not really helping Hollywood. I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah,
Like, they're
exactly.
like, we don't want to give money to studios. I'm like, you're not giving money to studios. I said, because no matter what you do,
They're
the
gonna go.
studios don't care. They
Yeah,
don't give a shit where they film. They're going to go film. They're going to film it. Right now, there's a TV show in Prague. They're flying Americans there so they can have an American audience as if they're doing it here. It's not here. And so the studios are going to find the best deal possible. And that's what I was telling the assembly members and the senators that kept pushing back on this tax credit. They're like, we're just helping out Hollywood. I said, no, you're not. What you're doing is you're killing middle class jobs. It's members. And
yeah,
for me, I feel that I guess I'm not the only union guy, but I talk about it more than some of my counterparts. When we go to these meetings, excuse me, I don't talk about the members, like just like members, like they're just members, like I just represent them because
exactly,
like
exactly. Yeah,
you're a friend, bro. You're my
yeah,
friend,
exactly. Yeah,
your
exactly.
brother.
Right.
We have family that's known each other. Your dad and my dad worked together, I don't know, 40
90s.
years ago,
Yeah, yeah.
40 some years ago. And so I tell these people in Sacramento, like, you don't understand. You don't get the calls
Right.
I get. And some of
Yeah.
these folks are not, it's
They're
not
my
just a
people.
member of me. It's people I've grown up with in this industry. It's people, I know their families. I know their kids. I was at their wedding. Like that shit affects me different
Personally.
because
Yeah.
it's personal.
Right.
And when I get a friend calling me that, Alex, I'm about to lose my house,
Right.
it's heartbreaking. You know what I'm saying?
For
Literally,
sure.
man. And you know me a long time, bro. You and I, you know where I come from and how
Right.
I am. Like, I take that personal. These are friends, these are family, and it's like, man, it's not a good place to be. And so we had to do a lot of arguing to make sure this tax credit went through. And so, to add to that, recently, the last month and a half, 2 months, we've been meeting with the gubernatorial candidates, every single one of them. And we're just asking them, what are you going to do for the industry? And we've received a lot of good feedback. We're going to send some info out to the membership and talk about it. But we've basically now told folks that we want no cap, just like Atlanta, just like New York, New Jersey. We want to raise it where we have
Leave it. Yeah.
unlimited amount of money and also to include above the line so we can attract better jobs, bigger
Right.
features, and actually put people to work. You know what I mean?
So my ex was on the was it the Rip show that just came out recently on Netflix with Matt Damon and Ben. They
Yeah.
made a deal with their production. I guess if they make a certain amount of money, they start kicking down to their crew below the line. You know what I mean? Everybody gets a little bit of a bonus if the show does good out there. And that was something I mean, that's one little change, but if that could ripple out through a couple hundred shows, it would be great. But it was nice
Yeah.
to see somebody making a gesture, I guess, on that end of it. Because above the line, they really don't care too much for us as far as,
I mean,
like it's even more cutthroat above the line. So to
yeah,
get people,
that's a great thing. I was very surprised when that came up, right? The Matt Damon and the Ben Affleck deal and how it trickles down. I mean, imagine if every production did that. Um,
exactly. Yeah.
it would be great. I think people would work harder. And not that our folks don't work hard. I mean,
Yeah.
but
But
it
we're
is
some
what
of
it
the
is.
hardest working guys there.
I know, and I think, man, people would be like, wow, this is great. More often than not, we go to work knowing that, some people that, man, it's just, nobody cares. I'm just, here
Yeah,
making my
yeah.
money, and
That's
the
the big
crazy part,
difference of then now. Then
yeah,
and
and
now,
that's
that's the
old
big difference.
Hollywood,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That,
We cared for each other. I mean, we could, we held each other up when no matter what, I guess you could say,
well,
And nowadays, now it's you're thankful for your job, and if you have a job, just be thankful you got one right now. That's what
and
I've been
don't complain
hearing the
about
past. And
anything.
don't complain yet. Don't bitch that you're working or they get you. You know,
Or
we
you
as
get laid
laborers,
off.
they don't give us help. Send one guy to go do this job that's takes four guys, and it's just shut up and do it. Okay, and that's a little different from 10 years ago. It was like if we came in drunk or hungover, someone said, "Here, go lay down, kid. We got you. Come
And
back in a couple
what's
hours." Like,
happening, man?
oh, no, no, no. And
It's
now it's like, oh, you're going to HR, and like, Jesus, man, like, what happened to the brotherhood?
you know, it's sad, bro. It's
Yeah,
sad.
yeah,
It's sad the
definitely.
way this business has gone. I mean, I was just telling stories to some. We went out and we did this little event, and we had some members come up, and they were mostly younger guys who've been in maybe 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah,
I love telling them stories. I feel like such an old guy. You know what I mean?
yep.
Telling them stories about the things we used to do, the movies we used to work at or work on, and the way the business was. Because you're right, back then it was more family. Like they actually cared about you. And now we're just a number, bro. We're just a number
Yeah.
on that line.
Crew bots.
And
Yeah,
that
they
goes
call them
for
crew
everybody.
bots.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not valued the same way we were before. And the
No.
unfortunate part is that we still have to show up and do the same work, but yet we're not valued the same way
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
as
Yeah.
we were
It's very
20,
different.
30 years ago.
Yeah. And what that brings out the morality of things, you know what I mean? Like you're not going to do that much better if you know that this could be your last day. But if that comfort's there with you, you're going to give it your best. That kind of attitude has changed too. Like and everybody's not giving their best because they're not, you know, they don't want to, I don't know, give the effort, I guess. I don't know what it is. Like you're
You
saying, the
know,
younger kids these days, like they haven't figured it out and nobody's really showing them the right way to figure it out. They're just kind of
I
like, here
mean,
you go, kid. I haven't been there all your life, but here's a job. It's like, oh, wow. Like,
I
where'd
think,
this guy come
when,
from?
when we came up, I think the older guys like your dad, my dad, right? We work for, I'll throw some names out there, right? Like Steve Badillo, Johnny Molina, Paco, Jimmy, these guys would always take the time to show us, like, this is how you got to do it. You got to do it
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And we would. And I think now what's happening is we have a lot of coordinators hiring guys that don't have the experience. And it's not a knock on our folks, but
No.
it's created issues for me and the union in the sense of filing more grievances. We have more issues with some of the other unions, like Local 44, Local 80, because they don't they don't really know the contract
The
and
lines, yeah.
the way we're supposed to protect our work. That old school mentality of like,
Yes, yes, yes,
you're not
yes.
doing my work. This is my work. I don't care what you do, but you're not doing my work.
Right, right.
And now these and it's not just younger guys. I guess let's call them newer
It's
guys, right? Because the ages vary, but the majority of them are younger. And I think because the work is so scarce, people are afraid to speak up,
yeah,
right? They're
yeah.
afraid to tell their coordinator that's our work. We're not having prop makers do this work. We're not having grips do
Yeah,
this
yeah,
work.
yeah.
And it's just now created this issue that I have to do a lot of arguing with other unions. You know what I mean? Which is fine. I mean, it's part of
Yeah.
my job, but
It's,
the
it's why you're
lines
there.
were darker and were.
Yeah, more bold. Don't cross this line,
And
otherwise we're gonna
now
have issues.
it's like, well, it's a gray
Blurry, yeah.
area. And so one
Blurry.
thing, I'll tell you this. One thing we're going to start doing is we're going to start doing some training, like foreman training,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
contractual education. And we're going to start doing that come this summer. We're going to start holding, maybe an hour, hour and a half, because I don't want to kill people on the weekends, and take up their time. But maybe in the mornings on a Saturday, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, do an hour, hour and a half class, just talking about the contract, answering questions to the members.
Right.
Just letting them know. Someone may ask, well, at what
What
point,
happens if this? Yeah.
you know,
Hmm.
and just to help them understand where we're at, especially if work is picking up and we have a lot of older guys retiring, and it's like who's going to train up the new
Exactly.
folks coming up. So
Exactly. And the right way too. Give them the right tools. You know what I mean? You give them the right tools, and you could go a long way with that. But if you just start teaching them now to blur the lines right now, in 10 years later, that's what I think is the change in our industry too, is the leadership. The union guys with teeth back in the days that would chop your head off if you crossed that line. You know what I mean? There was the, what do you call them, the stewards on the lots that were watching your back, and letting you know what was up if something went wrong. And those, I mean, I didn't like them. I mean, I hated those guys because every time you go do something, hey, do that, that's not your job. I was like, oh man, dude, fuck you, like get away from me, all right? Why are you watching me? But I mean,
yeah,
it was for a reason, which, I mean, later on I learned that. But
well,
at
I
that
think
time,
as
if you
yeah,
keep
you're
letting them get
right.
away with it, then they're gonna keep doing it.
And a lot of that is education, like you said. You said learn.
Yeah, yeah.
We learned that as time went on. And so, but to exactly to what you said, people like you and me, your dad, my dad, you know, Paco, the
Yeah.
Badillos, the
The legends, baby.
Panucas, they're not
Yeah, I know.
anymore telling these coordinators, no,
Yeah.
that's our work. And now we have different people there that are like, all right, well, you want to throw in a few prop makers, you want to have a few grips, strike this, and that's what we're battling right now. And I understand it. People don't want to speak up because they're afraid, but you know what we tell them? Just call us, send us a
Right.
text, let us know. Hey, why don't you stop by Stage 28 next week around lunchtime on Tuesday? That's
Right.
it. When we show
Catch them.
up, we don't say, hey, thanks for letting us know. It's more like, hey, what's going on? But one thing I've been trying to drive home, Noose, is that I tell these folks, you and I our fathers were in here. We have nephews that are in, right? Brothers. I don't have any brothers, but family, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We have friends. A lot of us had kids or our parents bring us in, whatever our fathers. It's gonna happen. The business is not gonna change. Some of these younger guys that are now foremans or being gang bosses running work, there's going to come a time where some of them are going to want to bring in their kids, their
Right.
little brother. And what I tell them is, well, if you keep giving our work away, there ain't going to be shit for them to do. So when I show up to these job sites and I tell them, I said, don't forget, one day you may be calling me, asking me, hey, Alex, can you bring in so and so? Can you help me out? And my response to them is, I tell them right there to their face, I say, and I'm going to remind you of today that you're giving our work away. Why should I help you? I mean, what's the point? You know what I mean? If you're not helping us
Yeah,
to protect our work.
for sure. Yeah, yeah. That the camaraderie and the brotherhood. I don't know. It's hard for people to understand that, but we used to have each other's backs a lot more often. But I remember Pokey going through something similar to that. Like when he spoke up about the grips doing the coordinator was trying to make Pokey as the labor do most of the grip moving sets around. After they shoot it, we're not really supposed to move shit around. So he would kept, like pushing him to do it, and Pokey kept telling him, "No, that's a grips job. Get a grip." And I think it got to a certain point where it was a sit down with the coordinator, Pokey, and a union guy, and then they kind of straightened it out. He went above and said what he had to say, and he wasn't afraid of losing his job with the coordinator. But that sometimes nobody ever gets that far with complaining. Like Pokey went above and beyond because he's Pokey. A lot of the guys don't have that courage, I guess you could say. Like right now, they're afraid to lose their jobs, so they're not going to go make some waves and get grip unions involved. And like there's a little bit there's more fear in the job now than there's enthusiasm and creativity and all the stuff that we used to do back in the day. I mean, you could be a labor sweeping a set, but you still had an important part, of the whole process of things. You know what I mean? You don't mess with the Teamsters, you don't mess with the laborers because you're always going to need them to move your stuff around and get you from point A to point B. So there's
Yeah, and we just had the situation or the example you just brought up about Pokey. We just had that happen 3 weeks ago. I'm actually filing a grievance on a show because the same thing. The coordinator was asking our folks to do grip work. And our guy, who's been around for a while, told him, I'm not going to do that. Like, that's not our work. Like, we have our own work. You should bring in the grips to do it. Well, they gave our guy shit, and they laid him off.
Yeah, yeah.
They laid him off.
I'm not working for Brian anymore for that reason.
You
Hey,
know
you
what
don't
I
want to
mean?
do what I say? Okay, bye. Wow, okay, wow. Thought I was doing okay.
And that's crazy because we shouldn't be crossing union lines.
Yeah,
You know, we don't want them taking our work. Now, I will say they do it more often than we do.
right.
Prop makers and grips more labor work than we do more of their work. That's for damn sure. I'll tell you that.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, because everybody feels compelled. And me, as 44 of the past 5 or 6 years, if I'm out there working and I grab my little project and I walk over to the stage, to me that's no big deal because I'm a laborer. But I get reminded every once in a while, hey, what are you doing? Oh yeah, huh? Here, I hand it to him. Here, you walk it over there.
Yeah, no, I know. And it's funny.
It can be quick and subtle like that, or it can be really blatant other times. So you see
You
little
know, and
prop
the
makers
subtle
walking a
thing,
set down the street. What are you doing, dude? Like,
yeah, and the little things, I mean, there's always little things that happen that we're not going to make a big issue about. It's more like a reminder. But then there is those blatant, the disregard for what we do. It's like, who cares about these guys? They're just laborers. And it's like, nah, man.
yeah.
You
How
know,
about you do
so
your job, hire yourself a couple grips so that we don't have to step up like that. You know what I mean? It's not that we won't, it's just that it's not in our category to do. And that's
yeah,
the union lines get like that.
they
It's
get
like
blurry sometimes.
it gets important though. It's so important to keep it together. And I think that's what I was mentioning, that the teeth of the unions has kind of lost its grip because of those guys that are retiring, because those guys with teeth and had the bark are all kind of leaving the union, and like there's not really that many left in their wake to handle it, or they don't handle it the same way they did. Like I'm into coaching my kids' baseball team right now. So I mean, same thing. Some coaches fucking yell, like you're saying, being a father and being, knowing your role, I guess, in the past 30 years in this business as a foreman, and then all of a sudden you're a father. It's the same kind of thing. You're taking care of multiple people and making sure that things don't go haywire. But then, you get somebody that loses their spot because they don't want to do what the boss tells them to do, even though it's wrong. Like your boy that got laid off, I guess, right?
Yeah, and he just called me about this yesterday too, which is he's been around a while. I haven't talked to him in a while, but it was like, hey man, I got laid off because I didn't want to do grip work, and I'm like, so so it's something we're gonna deal with. But overall, I think what has to happen, when you say, the teeth aren't there anymore, right? And as a union, I can only do so much, right? Because if
Yeah.
I don't know about it, how can I change the culture? Not, and I don't mean because this is not all about me. This is about our union and even our reps, right? How can we make a shift without knowing what's actually happening out there? And so the more we do it, the more we educate people to make sure
Communication.
they keep fighting for our work, and it doesn't have to be a fight. It could just be as simple as, like, if you don't want to say something, then just tell us to come around and we'll put a stop to it. And sometimes not even filing a grievance is not necessary. It could just be a conversation. And so we're trying. We're going to continue to do what we do, and hopefully this industry is going to, get going a little more, and we'll
I
have
remember
some.
you came down with when we were doing the perm projects over at Warner Brothers, and somebody had called you up, told you to come down because there was it seemed like a shortage of laborers and a whole lot of other guys. So I guess they called you up and you came down and had a talk with Gene. So I mean that's the way it should happen. They
And
call him up, dude. He'll come down. He'll talk to him. He's not afraid of Gene. And Gene,
and
it can be intimidating, man. That guy, I swear, he's cool as hell. But like when he runs his guys, he reminds me of my dad. It makes me laugh. Like when he does it, I start laughing. He's like, "Who are you laughing at?"
well,
Just like my dad, dude.
we had a shouting match outside the
Gene.
state.
Oh, okay, yeah,
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 and we actually
yeah.
got called into labor relations, and
HR.
it was like, what happened. And but look, I don't have anything personal against that man, but you guys take care of me. Our members take care of me, and that means my job is to take care of you guys. And when I got that call, I showed up, and like to your point, Gene is Gene, and I think he thought he was gonna yell at me, and I was gonna walk out with my tail tucked between my legs, and that's not what happened. We got it was pretty heated conversation, and but you know what? When I left, he hired more laborers, and that's all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
really
that's what I
fucking
mean.
matters. You know
Yeah,
what
you
I
just
mean?
have to butt heads with them, dude. You have to butt
And
heads. You got to.
sometimes, I hope that's not the way everything always has to go, and it doesn't. And, Gene is Gene. Sometimes he's, just like anybody else. And there's times when I just call him and he fixes it. Sometimes he calls me to let me know things are going on, and that's the relationship we have. And even with other studios, but yeah, that was a funny time because we got in, we
I
started
remember you came
yelling at
down. I
each other.
know it didn't go well afterwards. That was
No, it
funny.
didn't go well at all. At all, at all. That's a fucking understatement. I mean, it went. We went toe to toe right outside the stage, and people were looking at us. And then I got a call from HR and labor relations, like, "What the hell happened? What are you guys doing?" And we'll leave the rest. The rest will stay in between
Yeah.
there. But things got resolved. I get it.
And
So
I think Gene does too. He's been around enough to know, he knows he's just got to fight back and do what he has to do because he's got bigger, he's looked at as a in a higher position now that he
no,
can't afford to keep having those conversations like with
no,
anybody.
and I'll tell you a little story about Gene, and I like Gene, man. Like I said, it's not personal, and
I want to get
and
him
I
on
know,
here. I
I
want to
know
get him
his,
on here. Him
yeah,
and
I
his
know
son.
I mean, now he calls me, hey, buddy. I'm like, hey, man, what's going on, right? But it's all good. But I'll tell you, one day when I started as the guy, in charge, right? When I took over for Tom, Gene was doing a job, and it was like he didn't have enough laborers, bro. So I was pissed off. So I sent Steve O'Bannon, right? He's our president and field rep. He's one of them. And so I sent him out there. I said, hey, Weddle, because I call him Weddle. He's your boy. He grew up in Whittier, right? He's a Whittier
Is
guy.
he?
Yeah, he grew up in Whittier, bro. Steve.
I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah. So long story short, I sent Steve and Gene. We were just talking about this, which is funny that you brought up Gene. But yesterday, Steve was telling somebody the story when I sent them out there, and Gene told him, just take your fucking pictures and get out of here. So Steve calls me and he's like, hey, can you believe this? I go, you know what? Just sit there and wait all day. Just wait all day. And he goes, all right. And then I get a call from labor relations. They're like, your guy's harassing Gene and the crew. I go, no, he's not. He's just watching. I said, if I tell Steve to pull up a chair and sit down and watch them all day for 8 hours a day, every single day of the week, he can. That's our job. There's nothing against the law that says that. In fact, it's contrary to that. The law states that I can have him sit there and watch those guys work all day. And I said, so he's going to be there for 8 hours and watching Gene. And then Gene got the point and he was like, all right,
Yeah, yeah.
all right. But it's what it is, man. It's actually fun sometimes, even though it's a pain in the ass, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's all
No,
good.
I know. I get it. And you're in you've been there for how long now in the union seat?
So I got hired in 2011 as a field rep, secretary treasurer, and then I took over for Tom in 2017. So I'm going on 10 years, man. 10 years
Okay.
as the union, as the main guy, but really 15 years.
Right, since you started doing that period.
Yeah, man, it goes by quick. And when I took the job, I was in North Carolina on Ironman 3.
So that was the last feature that you did?
Yeah, that was the last feature I did. I left because, like you're doing right now, I wanted to be here for my kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. This is
I wanted to be around and coach them and enjoy my kids and watch them grow up and not just be out of town. You know what I mean?
yeah. We
And
learned something from these old guys, you know what I mean? Watching them and what they do. I'm not going to do that, man. I had 30 years of anything, any kind of career, whatever. My cousin just retired from the sheriff's department after 30 years. And I said, see, 30 years you get to retire. I was like, we don't get to retire yet. We're 48 years old. It's like at least another 10 years before I could think about retiring. But my
yeah,
body is telling me otherwise. I'm like, I just had the shoulder surgery. I'm recouping from that. My knees sometimes, my elbows, everything. Everything hurts now, and it's like I don't know if I have another 15 years left of this in me.
It's
Not the
it's a
hours that
tough
we do.
business.
It's a rough one, yeah. I mean, I
It's
watch
a
my
tough one.
ex-wife come home sometimes at 7 o'clock when she comes by to see the kids and stuff, and she just burnt the fuck out. I'm like, go get some rest.
It
And this
is.
is this has been like a year I've been off, and this is the pandemic was such a fucking fun time for me just to take that break. You know what I mean? Like people
You
didn't
know,
take the break as a positive. They took it as oh shit, I'm out of work. And it's like, well, like you were talking about that guy that was telling you, the painter that was telling you that, this business ain't gonna last forever. I mean, that's me, the little tree hugger too, that I would always say, dude, they waste a lot of shit. They waste, and then way productions move, and there was so much disorganization that you could see it wasn't gonna last that much longer. You know what I mean? The more chaotic it got, the more money they were spending. Like, if you're sitting there as a producer and watching all this go down, you'd be like, okay, we got to tighten this up a little bit.
we
You know
gotta
what I mean?
tighten,
We
tighten
can't
the belt.
keep doing this fucking all the time. But
Yeah, and I
it
think
did
that
it get to a point where we're all comfortable with it. We're like, yeah, Hollywood's got money, fuck it, buy it. It's like, oh man, like I don't know, that attitude just it ran into a brick wall basically. That attitude ran into a brick wall, and now everybody's like, oh yeah, I'm glad I have that 8-hour job at the lot. You know what I mean? No matter how boring it is, it's like fuck.
it's so funny you bring all this up. I'm telling you, we had lunch. So there's some issues going on right now, some subcontracting issues with some of the studios. And so yesterday, I had a lunch meeting with Local 44, Local 729, and to talk about some of the issues. To your point, it's just not the same, man. It's not the same. It's just
Yeah, the field is different.
the contraction that people just saying, oh, you know what, we're not going to do that anymore, and
Yeah,
the
I've had
jobs are
older.
going to
I
be
mean,
smaller.
my boss is telling me, we don't do it like that. It's like, you mean the right way? Like, I don't get it. Like, I'm not trying to bully you and say do it my way, but it's just this is fucking 101 here. Like, like I don't get what you're trying to do. Like, they feel like they're asserting themselves as a foreman. I always hated these titles, man. We get a title, and all of a sudden we feel like it's got to be done this way to be done. It's like, man, got to know how to be a grunt too. Like some of these guys, oh, I don't know how to not be a foreman. It's like, what? How about you just work? It's not different. You hold a title now. It's like that makes it, less hard. It doesn't mean that makes it less hard. It's actually more stress on you if you're making more money as a foreman. You're getting what, $2-3 more and handling 20 guys, 30 guys at a time. Like it's not as glorious as they seem. It's glorious for the money, but it's not glorious for the responsibilities that
Yeah,
entail it, but they don't see
it's
it.
different. It's definitely different than before. That's for sure. Definitely.
Well, let me see what else did I have here for you. Oh yeah, you got in pretty tight with Emilio, huh? Emilio Rivera.
So Emilio's he's a great dude, man.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. When I used to go around at the Mayan set,
Okay.
I said what's up to him a few times, and
Oh, is that how you first met him?
yeah, we met there, but it wasn't really. We didn't really connect. It was more like, hey, what's up, homie? You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. But that dude's a very humble dude, bro. A lot of those guys on that set, as a matter of fact, on that show, were really down to earth dudes that they're
Chicanos,
just
man.
cool. And so I ran into him one day at an event, and we started talking, man, and we became good friends. And now not that I hang out with the dude all the time or anything like that, but
No, I think I saw something on Instagram of you guys at a Christmas party or something. I was like, oh, check you out.
yeah, he invited me to his Christmas party, and I was making a joke about it actually because I was like, hey man, I finally made it, right? Like I was telling my, I was like, I made it. But it's all good, bro. There's some good people there, and again, he's a good dude. He's a good dude. He's very humble, dude. You talk to him, he's friendly. He doesn't come across in a negative way. You know what I mean? He's actually those guys are all really good dudes, man. Like Raymond Joseph Lucero Creeper from the Mayans.
Okay,
That's
yeah, yeah,
another
yeah, yeah.
dude that I know really well, and they're good dudes, man. Like they go riding all the time, and I don't have a bike, but I got my father-in-law's bike, and
Yeah.
so but I borrow his bike, right? I ask for permission if I could use it sometimes,
Hell
and
yeah.
he's got like four bikes, but yeah, no, those dudes are good dudes, man. And Emilio's He's a great guy. He, like I said, he's come out to support. He's always told me, whatever you need, Alex, if you're holding an event for the
Yeah, I
union,
seen
let
that.
me
I
know.
seen that.
I'll come out. And we went out there for the strike. During the strike, he asked
Yeah,
me
that's
if I could
amazing.
bring some people, and we went out there. So, but yeah, he's a good dude, man. There is some good people in Hollywood, man. Some of the
Oh, for
talent,
sure. Yeah,
obviously,
yeah, yeah.
some
We don't
people.
always get to mingle with them, but I mean, once you do, those once in a while moments, like I got to know Paul Walker, through Roland, and knowing that fool for a while was, I look back and I'm like, damn, I was fucking friends with Paul Walker, dude. Like, it was cool, it was
He's
very,
a good dude
it was a
too.
good experience. Yeah, yeah. They're and like you're saying, dude, they're just people too. They're
Yeah,
just people.
yeah.
He had his daughter that he was always concerned about and whatnot. And my dad was driving for him for a while. So on an everyday basis, he was always chatting up my dad and then calling me up
Yeah.
and whatnot. It was good to have that. And I'm sad to see that he's gone. But what else is going on? Oh, you guys got the I was gonna ask you about that. The PAs. The
So the
PAs are
PA,
joining the local.
yeah, so that's been a lot of work. So in our industry, man, I mean, it's fun. Well, it's not funny. I guess it is kind of funny because we work all the time, right? And we used to look at PAs, right, on shows. How many shows didn't we do where you're like, oh, that's the PA, and but you don't really think about what they're going through because we're always going, all out on these, shows and movies that we did, right? And so until you really sit down or just not even sit down, just have a conversation with the production assistant and ask them, like, hey, so what's it like to be a PA, right? Most people don't know all the bullshit they got to deal with. You know what I'm saying?
For
And
sure, yeah.
honestly, after talking to them, they're like the laborers of
Yeah.
production.
I was
They
just gonna
do
say
all
that,
the
yeah.
shit nobody wants to do, right?
Mm.
They do. They go run all the errands. They go make the coffee. They make
Food.
the lunch runs. They
Yeah,
do
yeah,
all
yeah.
kinds of things, right? And so what ended up happening is during the strike, I met them at the picket line and we talked a little bit and I was like, okay. I thought IATSE was gonna go after them. I actually thought they were already engaging them to be part of IATSE, and as it turned out, that wasn't the case. When I talked to them, they said, "Well, we talked to them, but nothing's really been, decided in the sense that we're going to go with them. It was more just a dialogue and conversations about, can you guys represent us? Can you not? What do we do? How do we go
Right.
about this?" And so I jumped on it, man, and I had a conversation with these folks. Just, hey, what are you guys looking for? What are the issues? What's your goal? And they were like, well, we want to unionize. And a lot of the issues they have is they don't get health care like we get
Right.
health.
Yeah.
Some companies pay health care, but it's monthly health care. So as soon as you drop from the show, you're cut off from the health care. And they don't get proper lunch breaks. A lot of them, not every single one of them gets abused. There is some good companies out there, some good productions that actually take care
Take
of
care
these.
of their people, yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
then there's those that just don't give a shit. You're gonna work through your lunch. You're gonna work, 16 hours a day with one 30-minute break, and that break is gonna come when I tell you you can have it. And so that was a lot of what we experienced talking to these folks. And so I was like, okay, well, let's do this. So we started this in January of last year and it morphed into different things. We had to make some adjustments. Originally, we try to organize all the companies at once. And the way organizing works is when you do that, that means we have to go back a certain amount of time, whether it be a year or two, to get card signs from people that were working on those shows. But you know this, a lot of people are doing different things now, especially production assistants, right? They're not going to wait around for a production when they're already the lowest paid people on a production and the most undervalued people on the productions. We started calling some of them, hey, do you want to join the union? Do you want to organize? Sign a union authorization card. A lot of them were like, dude, I'm working over here now. I'm not going back to that industry. And the more calls we made, the more we found out that a lot of people were like, we're done. So that made our organizing drive harder. So we had to adjust. So then we said, okay, well, let's do Cali only and still do, throw a wide net out there. We ran into the same issue here in California. So then we had to do bottom up organizing, old school organizing, where it's production by production. So that's what's been more successful. We got our first contract on The Pit, which is that medical
Okay.
show on
Yeah, yeah.
WB.
That's it. Warner Brothers.
Now I'm negotiating contracts as we speak for Abbott Elementary, All American,
Yeah, all the Warner Brothers shows.
Georgie and Mandy. Then we got Universal shows, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, and the Four Seasons. And then also we did Not Suitable for Work, which is in New York. So we're doing this nationwide. So those Chicago shows, obviously, they're in Chicago. And then we have a couple shows in New York. And then we're working on other stuff as we speak. I don't want to say the shows in case anybody goes out and dimes me out and gives away the secrets, but we're actively working on other productions here in California. So it's going really well. And some of these on The Pit, the folks already got benefits. They got pension benefits. They have some work protections. So things are going. They're moving along.
Now, can I ask you how many, or what's the percentage of the shows that are out there that are union? Is there a good percentage of them are union, or most of them are non-union?
For you mean as in relating to production
The
assistants?
productions, well, the whole productions period. I mean, isn't it either union or it's non-union, or sometimes they
The
start off
majority of the
non-union?
productions in the States are union because IATSE has a big presence. Even the low budget stuff, IATSE has those rates, you know about those tier one, tier two. Now they have tier 1A, tier 1B.
Oh, gosh, are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
well, let's not get into that. But because of those rates, IATSE is able to capture these really low budget
That's how they get
productions.
them in.
And the rates are low. And so if it's a $2 million project, IATSE can sign it. Teamsters and us, we don't typically sign a lot of that because we don't have the same rates that IATSE has, right? We just have an MOW rate and a feature rate. Now, we do have the last year's rate for the TV shows and stuff,
TV
but
shows, yeah.
it's still not as low as what the IA offers. And so that makes it difficult for us to organize some of these really low budget productions. But the majority of them are done union, I would say. I can't really put a number on it or
Right, right.
percentage,
But
but it's the
in Hollywood
majority.
here, the ones you
But
deal with.
here in town, I would say 90%, man, of the shows being done are union.
That's so important. And one of the things I've never really paid attention to was the medical. I mean, we could have been doing this for free. It's because we're having fun doing it. I think when I started having kids, 'cause I was like, oh, there's these medical benefits, and it costs this much to have a kid. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank God we have the benefits. And I think now, from here forward, for me, because my body's falling apart, because things are changing so much, my goal is to get the 400 hours just for my benefits. Like for the next 10 years, just to try and stay in the game. I can't get out of the game because I need the benefits, but I just keep my foot in long enough to, get those benefits and stay alive and let it do what it's going to do. Because yeah, I guess in a old man sense, we're getting too old for this shit.
Well,
Like I'm not
we
trying
have
to.
some of the best benefits around, man. Our
Yeah,
benefits are amazing. For what we pay, like someone like you and me, or anybody with the family, our benefits. If you're a single participant, meaning it's just me alone and no kids, no wife, nothing, I wouldn't pay anything, and I would still have access to this amazing health care. Now,
yeah,
if you have a family, like we have some members that have four, five, six kids, bro, and
yeah.
and a wife. So you're talking like 8 people, right? They pay $50 a month for this health care. People, for a family that large, even for a family of five, if you go out and you get comparable benefits or benefits that are, very similar to what we have right now, for a family of five, you're going to pay in upwards of like $3,000 a month.
A month?
And we're paying $50 a month,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Cobra, if you get regular Cobra, I think Cobra is now up to like $1,200-$1,300 a month. And that doesn't include everything that we have, but it's pretty close.
The
But
Cobra
healthcare is
thing?
expensive.
Yeah.
Healthcare is very, very expensive. And that's
I
why
didn't
these
know how
PAs are
necessary
so
it
great.
was.
No,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I know. I can imagine. the grinding that they do, the PAs, it's a lot, but like to do all that and then not get the benefits, I guess, just like everybody else. Because if you're looking at everybody else on the crew getting benefits,
I
and
mean,
you're the
think about
only
that.
fucking one that's not,
Yeah, think about that.
I
And
know
it's
it
like
sucks. And how
you
many
think
years has
about
that been going on like that?
for decades. And these companies, I've had conversations with the studios where some of them are like, "Why are you doing this? Nobody cares about these people." And it's like, "Wow, that's a shitty thing for you to say." And but the truth is that somebody's got to help these folks out because they're getting
Yeah.
abused, man, and they contribute just as much. Maybe it's not the talents. Their talents are different talents than what we have, than what 44 has, than what others unions have, right? But everybody brings something to the table. And so their contributions are just as important as anyone else's. And so why should they be the only one subject to treatment like that? That you don't get pension, you don't get regular scheduled breaks, you don't get health care. It's like, wow. So they're literally the only folks on a production that do not have protections outside of all the union folks that are there. I mean, think about that shit.
Yeah, I know that. I'm glad you
It's
did that. That was one of the things I think I've seen in the past that you've been doing. I was like, oh wow, check that out. That's cool because everybody knows what a PA is
and
roles is on a
And
show.
just to be on this, I appreciate you having me on here because I want to share something. We've been getting a lot of calls about this PA thing, right? And some members, and this is not a knock on members. I know members are working, some live really far, so they can't make it to the union meetings. But people were thinking that Alex is bringing these guys in to do our work for cheaper, and
Oh
it's like,
no,
no, no, no, they're gonna
they
be
kind of
PAs.
yeah, they
Just like
still
the
have their
Teamsters
role.
have,
Yeah.
yeah, just like the Teamsters have, location managers, drivers, they're not doing each other's jobs. Local 80 has, medics and grips and craft service. They're not doing each other's jobs. 44, right? You have prop makers, effects, greens. They're
Set
doing
dressing.
different
Yeah.
things. Set dressing. It's the same concepts.
Right. Right.
The production assistants are not going to do labor work. Trust me, they don't want to do what we do.
No, the way I saw it is that they're finally getting benefits. The
Yes.
way I saw it, I was like, oh shit,
And
check that
so
out.
that's all we're trying to do here is get them some protections and some benefits, and they can show. I'm going to tell you one more thing. We had a guy from the pit. He said this to me, bro, that gave me chills. He says, I walked into the stage, and after we got our contract, he says, and there was this pride that came, that I was just, that I was feeling because I was now able to say, hey, I'm a union member. I'm a member of a union just like you. And so, that's what these people want, man. Like they want
Yeah. Yeah.
protection. They want somebody to support them, to have their back and fight for them and represent them. And so the fact that this guy said that and he
Yeah.
said it with such pride, like I'm a member of a union. Like don't treat me like that because now I have a union to back me up. That was really cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, people don't quite understand the brotherhood of it. You know what I mean? Like, there's something to it, man. And if you never really experienced it or know, it's kind of like Big Brother having your back, right? For us for the PAs,
That's true.
and it's I think the reason too I'm doing this is for the brotherhood of it. There's a shit ton of brothers, me and my brother, and I could name them Emilio and all kinds of other guys, but that to understand that brotherhood though of the pride of it. If you ever been like Emilio was in that Mayans, and my dad grew up with a bunch of biker gangs. So I mean that brotherhood. If you don't understand, you can stand back and laugh at it. Oh, look at those guys! They're all a bunch of gangs, this and that. But man, it feels great to be a part of it. Even in a gang, you know what I mean. If you're in a gang in a neighborhood, that same kind of pride. That same kind of pride is what they feel, So it's good that it's harnessed into, a workforce like this, that it means something, the brotherhood, that we have each other's backs, and that it's sort of slipping away. These guys are a little cutthroat these days. They don't really understand what we've been through as brothers, and as like on different shows. You ran one, I ran one. We were working for each other back and forth. The camaraderie of it, I think, is what I want to touch on too when I talk to these people. To you, like you said, we're friends for 30 years. We're not just union members. You know what I mean? I think it's important for these folks to know that about below the line. You know what I mean? We may be below the line. We may not have any credits on the screen, but it's just as important what we do for the movies. You know, we're moving around at midnight, 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, so you guys can wander in at 9 and 11, kick us all
Yeah,
out and say, here, we're here
yeah.
to film it.
In your air conditioned trailer,
Yeah, yeah.
and all
So, I
that.
mean, this is just to kind of give a little bit of a light on those peeps, you know, and like they're all from the PA to, you know, the painters and the carpenters and the drivers. I've got a lot of driver friends too. I'll get to those guys, but I'm glad I started off with you though. And it's just been enlightening, you know what I mean? Just to find out what's going on in the world and I guess reasons to the questions, you know, that I had. So I
Yeah, no,
appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me on, bro. It's I think it's great what you're doing.
Yeah, it's been on my mind for a long time.
We have to use these platforms to educate the members and just get communication out there and to let people know what's going on. And I think you doing this is a great way and a great avenue for people to see, hey, this is what's going on. No, I
Appreciate it.
appreciate you having me on. Hopefully maybe I can come back on in a few months and we can talk about how busy it is.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean
I want
that
to get maybe O'Bannon. Maybe you think he'd be interested?
oh yeah, he would do it.
Yeah, and just
O'Bannon
maybe
would do
both
it.
of you guys at the same time.
You can ask him about Whittier.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, he's a Whittier guy, bro. He's one of
And his
your guys.
brother, who was his brother? What was his brother's
Jeff.
name?
Jeff
Jeff.
O'Bannon,
I
Big
was trying to
Jeff.
remember it the other day. Ah, Jeff
Yeah.
was awesome.
Jeff
That was
was
a
Jeff was a great guy, bro. Jeff went to
you.
he moved to Missouri or something or Mississippi or somewhere out there
Did he?
and
Okay.
yeah, I talk to him every now and then, but the one thing about this job, what it does allow me to do is talk to some retirees. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
now,
I feel the same way. Like I have them all calling me most of the time. Hey, so and so passed away. I'm like, oh, shit.
yeah,
I hate hearing that. Another reason I'm doing this is to keep those names alive. You know, what was his name?
yeah, and
Freddie
that's
Valenzuela. Fucking couple years back. We lost Shrek a couple months back.
yeah.
I
We
can't
just
believe
had a few
that.
other guys pass away recently. We had Dave Turner, but he was a Paramount guy. We've
I
had a
heard that name
few.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a few, man, and it hasn't, I mean, obviously it's life, but, it's still
Yeah.
sad when you
No, it
see these
is.
folks,
It is.
who pass away, and especially when we've known them for so long, you know what I mean?
Yeah. How
So,
about your pops? Speaking of.
Pops is doing good, man.
Yeah.
Pops is in, back to the whole Atlanta and Runaway production thing. My dad always did all the Marvel stuff, and he
Right.
ended up going to Georgia.
Atlanta.
And he was out there, and he ended up staying out there, man. He liked it, and even though Marvel kind of left Georgia, but there's other productions there now, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's considering retirement.
He hasn't retired yet.
I think he may have just put his paperwork in, or is going to, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was thinking, man, I get bored at home, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna come back.
No.
But
Yeah.
he's
There's
doing
once
great.
he's
My
gone.
mom's out there. They bought a house out there, and he's enjoying it, man. He's enjoying it, and we miss him, obviously, but actually I think they're gonna be here in about a week, if I'm not mistaken. But he's
Let
doing
me
good.
know, dude. We could do a little interview with him. I mean, if he's here and you sit him down for an hour or so, I'll put it together.
That would be cool.
I
But
loved
yeah,
working for your dad. Your dad was one of the old school guys that would, like you're saying, that camaraderie of taking care of him. Hey, mijo, you okay? You okay? Like here, just handle this. Just take care of this. That's
hey
it.
man, think
I love him.
it's crazy how it's changed. I know, I'm going back to it, but
Yeah.
the way we used to do things, and it was just different, man. It was different, and I think people cared. We always worked with friends, and it wasn't just like it was friends. It was like we were a big family, and literally because I mean, you and we did features a lot. I mean, I didn't do TV until I never worked on a TV show until things started leaving.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it was taboo to work on TV if you were in a feature
Yeah,
film. You're like,
you're
oh, I
right.
don't do that stupid TV shit. But
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
we did these movies, and I mean, you and I were very fortunate, very blessed to be able to work on not just movies, bro, but we did some
blockbusters,
of the
baby,
greatest movies that people have ever seen. I mean, from
for sure.
Pirates to Pearl Harbor.
Armageddon.
Spider-Man, Armageddon. I mean,
The Marvel
National
thing kind of
Treasure.
started with you guys, right? I mean, your dad did all
Yeah,
the Marvel stuff.
Jurassic, all these Marvel shows, and I mean, we don't do those anymore,
Yeah.
and those were huge shows, man. And so, and now, you have these, I mean, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'll say it anyway. Who gives a shit? Some of these foremen, they're like, "Oh man, I got a lot of guys," and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's funny, and I'm like, how many guys you got?" They're like, "Oh, we got like 6 guys, 8 guys." And it's funny, but not to make fun of them. It's funny in the sense how the business has changed,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
When we
They
did
feel like they have a lot on their plate, but
Spider-Man, we had 60 laborers
yeah,
on
yeah.
the show. I mean, we were on Pearl and Pirates. I mean, look at the
And
amount of
at that
laborers on
and
those
at that
shows.
point you have to start at that point when you do have that many guys, they don't know it yet. But you have to trust your boys now. Now you have to trust those 4 or 5 foremen that you have underneath you when they go out on location, when they go here, we'll go there. I don't we were fortunate enough to see that generation before the cell phones came around. You know what I mean? To where like when those big giant crews are happening, you had to trust that motherfucker. You could only talk to him once a day or twice a day, and on a landline. And then like if it's being watched different, the way people are watching movies and TV now on their screens, on their laptops, I mean, they don't go to movies
Yeah,
anymore.
it's
So
different.
it's always if they're watching it different, then they're probably building it different too. Like like I think I heard Ben Affleck and them talking about them dumbing down the content. They dumb it down so that people could be on their phone watching at the same time. So they could be on their phone and really not lose track of what's going on in the movie or whatever. They'll have them repeat things so that they keep them involved in the movie
I didn't
if
even
they're on their phone.
think about that, but I see what you're saying in the sense
Yeah.
of you can be distracted on your phone, but
Yes.
you
Yes.
still
Yes.
get the
Yes.
concept of the movie. You
They
don't.
are purposely doing that now. So that's what I mean. It's like the Dead Poet Societies and the movies that made you think in those back in the days. They're not really being written the same way. So they're not being written the same way, being built the same way, being watched the same way, and that's why it's a goodbye to Hollywood kind of thing. It's like, wow, we used to do things a lot different, but now it's a content thing more than it is an entertainment or a like a good song. You know what I mean? A good song will stay in your head about a feeling, about this and that. It used to be that way with movies too. So where it's like now there's so damn much of it, so much content. It's hard to decipher what the good stuff is from the bad stuff, and it's like there's so much of this. It's like, well, there's some more over here too.
No, you're right. You're right. But again, I appreciate you having me on, bro.
Okay.
This is cool what you're doing. I think it's good that you're doing this. It just brings awareness and a good time too. You can get talk about stories and
Yeah, yeah. I'm
people
healing
you
from my
support.
surgery.
You know what I mean? And you're healing,
Yeah.
and it gives you something to do and get some people on here and reminisce a little bit about some of the
Hey,
things we used to do.
the good old days. All right. Well, let's wrap it up here then, my friend. I know you got to get to a meeting, and I appreciate it. It was a good way to start, I guess you could say. And I hope to do some more and maybe get you back here in a few months. We'll talk with O'Bannon. Maybe even what was our secretary's name over there?
Maria?
Yeah, give
I
Maria.
don't know that Maria will do a podcast, but we can try.
I have
But
some
yeah,
people
thank
too
you
that
again,
just don't
brother.
want to be on camera. They're like, "Oh, can we do audio only?" I say, "Yeah, we can do that." Yeah. For a lot of people who listen to it, that is how they're listening to it. I mean, they just throw their headphones on, throw a good podcast on. So it wouldn't be bad, but it was just I'd more or less want to see the people. We'll see
Yeah,
how it
no.
goes. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, let me know. Whatever you need, whatever I can help with, please don't ever.
Yeah, when I before I put this out, I'll give you the link and everything. You can help me promote it and get it out there, and
Absolutely.
we'll get some
We'll
more.
do.
If you have people in mind, shoot them towards me. Our members and whatnot. Let me know when people pass, and we'll include them. All right, Alex. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you down the road, my friend.
Yes, sir. We'll talk soon. Thank you, and say hi to your dad as well. Yeah, your
I will.
brother. All right, brother.
All right,
Take care.
Alex. Thank you.
Thank you.